just changing this simple thing in your golf setup can add up to 15 and 20 yards on your drives. Hi everyone, my name's James Robinson and welcome back to Get Good at Golf. On this channel we aim to help you get good at golf just one day at a time. In today's video we're going to show you how to add yards to your drive by changing something quite easy, quite specific and also quite simple to help you do just that. So how high do you tee the golf ball? This is something which so many amateur golfers not only are sporadic with but generally get wrong 90% of the time. It's got so many different factors that determine how high you should tee the golf ball. What you need to know, guys, what loft is your driver, what is your general angle of attack, and what flight window do you want to see when hitting driver. You see, guys, my ideal tee height is quite a high one. That being said, I like to see a nice high flight window of the ball and a nice trajectory. One big key thing about hitting good drives is visualization. Can you visualize that golf ball either going high? Can you visualize a right to left ball flight, a left to right ball flight, or a nice low penetrating shot? And my driver has 9 degrees of loft on there. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to launch the ball pretty much as high as I can with 9 degrees of static loft. So my ball is forward in my stance, my sternum's behind that. You'll see there Chris coming in and show them just how where that ball sits in relation to the crown of my club on the floor. You'll see that is just where that ball is in relation to the crown of my driver when it's sat on the floor. But interestingly, another thing that I do, I actually hover the driver. A lot of people have commented on this on my main channel. I hover it here so you can see it kind of sits with the top of the ball just over the crown there. Now as I take the club away, I take it away nice and shallow here, and what that allows me to do is load up to the top of the backswing, load up into the right hand side. Then when I unleash that and rotate into the left side, I still come in nice and shallow, the low point's pre-ball, then I hit the ball and then the driver carries on moving upwards. Now if you don't do that, if you hit down on the ball, which Chris is going to talk you through in just a second, you might need a different tee height. So I quite like the castle tees. I like an orange one and a pink one depending on the conditions. That's another factor you need to think about. Is it windy? What kind of golf course are you playing? Do you want to hit a lower drive than maybe you normally would? I wouldn't use a white one, they are the slightly smaller one, but moving around with your tee peg can be something which I've literally seen golfers change the tee peg height because they found the tee on the next hole and went, oh, I'll use this one because I found it. Yet you've got a 400-pound driver that's fitted for you, which for me doesn't make a lot of sense. So I have a nice big high tee height, the ball position's forward, I've got my sternum just behind the ball, that stays behind the ball, and the key for me here is that I get that low point pre-impact and then I can hit big high bombing drives like that, and what that does is it reduces the spin, and because of the dynamic loft that I am producing, it's a lovely high, low spinning, absolute knuckleball in the air. Now Chris is going to show you exactly what to do if you hit slightly down on the ball, which a lot of golfers do, to make sure you get the best out of your driver. Also, this channel is proudly supported by our members over on Sunday Club. Thank you so much to everyone that has joined. If you want to check out Sunday Club, that is bonus content every single Sunday for you all. It's going to include giveaways, meetups, bonus content, Q&As, the lot. Thank you so much to everyone that has supported so far. If you want to go and check it out, check out the link in the description below. Now let's get into exactly what you should do to optimize your drives.
So guys, what I like to see when hitting drivers is the ball just below the crown, so not much of the ball above the head of the driver, so not above the leading edge, and that's something that a lot of people can benefit from. Think to yourself, I know a lot of mid-handicap golfers, low-handicap golfers, high-handicap golfers, all golfers, who have higher lofts now. You'll see drivers, you can get fitted, you can get 10.5 degrees, but you can now get all the way up to 12 degrees. So mid-handicap Dave over on my channel, he has 11.5, a 12-degree driver, and that is for a reason. The reason is that he does hit a little bit down with his driver, so he's got a negative angle of attack, he's hitting down, so there is more loft on to create that launch. If we then tee the ball up high, because people say, right, I need to get the ball, I need more launch, so I've seen loads of videos where people have said tee it up high, that's not going to give us the launch, because all that's going to happen then, if we've teed this high, I get this right on the edge that I see a lot, and we do a motion such as mine and such as mid-handicap Dave's, I'm coming down, that is going to leave a nice, horrible mark on the top of your driver, and that's what nobody wants to see when you've just spent close to £600 on drivers now. So what we want to do is make sure that just because we've got loft on our driver, let's then tee the ball down where we are going to get a centered strike. So when you've been into your fitting, you will have used a consistent tee. Just like James mentioned there, you wouldn't be going from a white castle tee to a pink castle tee all in the space of one round. And just because the wind conditions might change, today we're on a fantastic day here at Woolley Park, and James's tee lives on.
This is legendary. How long have I had this tee?
This tee has been everywhere, but it's lost a lot of times as well. But conditions today, not a breath of wind, so a lot of people will just stick to the normal tee shot. How many of you guys change your tee height because you've seen again, oh, it's downwind, I need to tee it high, that's going to get it launching higher. We sky that, it then just makes it past the red markers. We don't want to change it in whatever conditions, even when it comes into the wind and we've got a strong breeze in. We just want to commit to our normal shot. If we get a ball struck centered, that's going to go further than if I'm trying to manipulate it. So let's get a set tee height, if that's with a wooden tee, if it's with a castle tee, and let's stick to that, because you'll have paid for a fitting, you'll have paid for an expensive driver, and that is why we've got that tee height and why we've got that loft on your club. So once I'm in this setup, guys, again, just because I hit down, that doesn't mean that in my setup the ball is back. So if James comes around here, it's not going to look like, okay, I hit down on the ball simply because I've moved my ball position back. It's in the way that the motion is where my low point is. So I can still have the ball forwards, but my motion tends to be, I have a little bit more of a shift this way. That's the way that my body moves, that's the way my swing goes, and I often catch that on the way down, whereas we saw with James, he will be back here and his club is bottoming out here and working up onto the golf ball. So my driver is set with a little bit more loft on, so I've got 10 degrees of loft on there because I need that a little bit more launch from the actual loft on the golf club because my angle of attack is down. So from here, again, we will see that I have a slightly different flight window to James. James's is more high bombing, whereas mine is a little bit lower and more penetrating.
That is an absolute knuckleball as well.
A nice little draw there, but again, peak height from there, 20 to 30 feet lower than James's. That's why you often see that I hit it miles past James.
I'm not sure that's the truth.
It's convincing, it is the truth, it's nothing but facts. But two different ways, two different swings, guys, but you have to get the tee height suited for you. So when you go for a fitting, make sure you're consistent with what tee you use. Make sure when you get set a certain loft on your club, we're not changing that, we're not altering that. And again, I have used James's there, so that is 9 degree, not 10, unfortunately, because mine is in the car. But we're then going to be able to get the exact flight. If we start to mess around with that loft, that then might mean we need to change the tee height, and it's going to affect all sorts of launch conditions.
Is there an optimum? Should you hit up on it? Should you hit down on it?
Again, ideally what people say on tour is, yes, the majority of golfers on tour will hit slightly up on the ball, but one of the longest drivers on tour, depending which tour you say he's on now, was Brooks Koepka, and even DJ, who are both on the same tour now, but they often hit down onto the golf ball. So they hit down and it spun up a little bit, and they were two of the longest hitters on there. Your opposite is someone like DeChambeau. These are terrible examples because they're all on the same tour, but he hits up on the golf ball, okay? He's adding loft, he's hitting up on the golf ball, taking all the spin off, and that's what you'll see from some of the long drive guys on the long drive tour. But they don't always get the right dispersions. So it has to suit you. So it doesn't matter if you are teeing it low or if you're teeing it high. It has to be the best for you. Optimize your strike, optimize your distance to help you get good at golf.